Greetings to you and welcome to another episode of the first episode of the virtual version of the GreenRoom. Uh, Here's where we take a moment to showcase the best and brightest aspiring six-figure moguls that you may not have yet heard of. Now, today's guest is a young lady that reached out to me online to share her story. So I'm not familiar with her story as much as I normally am with the guests that are here. But in this particular moment, I think that's kind of interesting. So we'll actually give that an opportunity to develop how it develops. I think that the way in which we've actually gotten together is a testament to her perseverance and in moving through adversity. We had a lot of rescheduling conflicts to get to this point, but I do believe that that's a strong reflection of her level of perseverance and determination as an entrepreneur, which we all know that that's the backbone of what we do and what we need to do to make this thing happen. So let's get right into it. And since you have all of the valid information, I'm going to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to anyone who happens to be listening to the virtual green room. So go ahead, the mic is yours.
Okay, my name is Uniqueka, and I'm an influential speaker, I'm an author, and I'm also an advocate for foster children. I live in Jacksonville, Florida. That's where I was raised, and right now I'm trying to I've just released my first book, so I am promoting that and just finding different avenues to reach people during this time.
Awesome. So you're new into this game, or you've been doing it for a while, and this is just the world's first glimpse into your writing skills. Which one is it?
I am new to public speaking and being an author. This is my first book. I've been working on it for about a year, and I've also been studying public speaking and speaking to people locally and to my friends and things like that. So I've been in business for myself for about a year.
Okay, cool. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But for those of us who knew, and for those of us who listened to the previous podcast, to recap, the Green Room is an opportunity for a smaller business doing great work that many of you might not be familiar with yet, to share itself with a much wider audience through about 5 or 6, in this case maybe 7, questions to give you a glimpse into who the owner is. In short, the Green Room is ultimately an unscripted chat that I hope to give you an opportunity to glimpse into who the person is, unscripted, and maybe possibly seeing yourself in them as a fellow aspiring entrepreneur. So we've gotten the formalities out of the way, so let's get into the questions. You covered that a little bit on the front end, so the first question just gives you a recap and gives you an opportunity to jump in and give a little bit more of a spiel on who you are. Who are you and what is your business? So you have covered that, but this gives you an opportunity to kind of flesh it out a little bit more for those who are listening, for anything that might be more important that you haven't already shared.
Okay. My business is Uniqueka Inc., and it's a public speaking company, and also it's what I do my book club under. I have an online book club on Facebook. It's called Uniqueka's Book Cartel, but it's a business entity that is under Uniqueka Inc. In my book club, I read self-help, nonfiction, philosophy, things like that. What started me with reading and speaking and everything is because I grew up in foster care from the time I was 11, and at the age of 17 I dropped out of high school and started dancing at the strip club, and I did that for 9 years, and I just grew tired of the same lifestyle. So I just changed. I started reading. Well, I always liked to read since I was a little girl. As I grew older, I started reading like a lot of self-help, and that is what got me out of the club and got me to change my life over to being a speaker and being an author. And I also was in school for real estate. I finished school and passed the end of course exam, but with the situation that's going on right now, I'm not able to take the state exam. So a lot of people, they asked me, what I did to change, and they asked me a lot of advice and things like that. And it wasn't really it was complex on how I changed, but it's a few simple basic things that you have to do if you want to change, and that's what my book is about, the Glowup. So it's basically answering a lot of questions that people had for me on how I changed.
Okay. Wow. One of the things that I find is most interesting about this doing these interviews is that I always get more about the person than I was expecting. I mean, we could have probably ended it from there, because that's powerful in and of itself. And you actually went into the second question just automatically. It was like, what is your story that led to your vision? But you were kind of covering that information. So were you always were you one of these young ladies that just was always drawn to books, or was there a moment that just kind of where you just kind of grabbed a book and it just kind of sparked any a level of appreciation for what it is that you're doing right now?
Well, as a little girl, my stepmother, she used to read a lot, so she used to take me to the bookstore with her when she used to go. So I started liking to go in the kids section, and I had a lot of like the Cheetah Girls before they got on Disney Channel. I had like the series, so
Right.
I always liked to read, but I wasn't reading like nonfiction. As I grew up, I was very intellectual. I always liked to read and write. So as I grew older, I was in foster care, and I didn't have any parents or really anyone to turn for any kind of guidance. And I had a lot of questions about life. And I just drew back to reading what I knew when I was a little girl, which was reading. And that time I was reading self-help because I was looking for a way to, I was never a bad person, but I just wasn't doing what I knew I could be doing with my life and with myself. So I just drew back to what I knew when I was a little girl, and I started reading a lot of self-help, personal growth books, philosophy, things like that. And that is what helped me change. So now I can write books for other people and let them know what helped me change.
Okay. Now I'm just throwing this one out there because it just popped into my head. Your Facebook group actually asked the question of what's your favorite genre of book, your favorite style of book. So I just throw that out there for you, because when I actually joined the Facebook group, they asked me that, and I think I left that blank. I couldn't even answer that because I'm all over the place. So what's yours?
My favorite genre would be the personal growth, like the self-help. I like books that I can learn something from. So I read a lot of Napoleon Hill, Robert Greene, Stephen Covey. I read things that are giving me instructions on how to be better, or give me instructions on time management or money. So any like self-help or personal growth books I read. I have some autobiographies, like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. I have Jay-Z, things like that. So I have biographies of influential people as well, but most likely I read self-help, which is nonfiction.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even have Jay-Z's story. How is the current social distancing climate affecting your business work, and how are you overcoming these challenges? This is actually a new question that I've added to the roster that kind of addresses what's going on in the world today. Obviously, with social distancing being a necessity, we're just pulling away from what our regular normal is, and it's affected how everybody does business and interaction. So with the business that you're doing, the type of activism, I know you are involved in the community, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But how is social distancing affecting your business work, and how you are overcoming or working to overcome it?
Well, it has had a bad and good side. The bad side, of course, a lot of things aren't open. Like I said before, I went to FSCJ for real estate, and I passed the end of course exam, and then they sent me my certificate of completion, but I couldn't take the state exam because then by that time everything got closed down. So of course it did stop, some plans, but on the bright side, it did give me like a push to be more creative with my speaking and with being an author. It pushed me to find new ways to reach, potential people that I can help. So that's the good side that I see about it, is that I was able to promote my book. And before the pandemic, I didn't have a YouTube channel. I was actually had a lot of shows that were scheduled, and I had some book signings that were scheduled. But with everything that happened, it made me get a YouTube channel, and I think it's a good decision that I made, because I can reach people that probably wouldn't be able to come to my shows or wouldn't be able to come to a book signing and hear me speak. So that's the good side of it. Also, I still get to study real estate every day, so that's another plus that I have. I feel like, I have more time to study. So I try to look at the positive side of everything, even with the social distancing and you have to be in the house at a certain time. It definitely makes you be more on point now, because you know that you don't have the time that you used to have. So it's a good side and a bad side, but if you look at it as a productive business person, you can, find ways to do things and get things done.
Cool. So, the real estate side of your business operations, that kind of postponed your plans, but it didn't kind of derail it. It wasn't like you had to have something done like 30 days after you've passed the test. It wasn't anything like that, was it?
Yes, I did have to, after I passed the test, after I passed the end of course exam, I had to wait. They said the certificate of completion would come within 20 days, and that's what you have to wait on to actually take the state test. So you have to take that certificate down there saying that you passed the course. So while I was waiting on that, the shutdown and everything happened, and Pearson View, which is the testing site I was supposed to go to, they're closed. So I did have to wait. Maybe if I didn't have to wait for the certificate, I probably would have just went and took the test. But because I had to wait on that, that did postpone it. But like I said, it still, gave me enough time to, study some more and really get more confident in taking the test.
Okay. Well, now we're kind of rambling through the questions that I normally have. So as certain things pop up, I'm just going to throw some extra stuff at you, just so people have an opportunity to get a deeper glimpse into who you are. What moves you? I mean, what really motivates you to get out there and grind, especially now when it's so easy to go to the crib and just, sit back and binge watch something, as opposed to getting out there, making calls, shooting out emails, working on your YouTube channel, just grinding remotely. What is it that just gets you charged to keep grinding it out when it's so easy to go to the house and just hold up until it's safe to go back outside again?
Well, I feel like now more than ever, people need help. Not saying physically they need someone to come and save them, but mentally, with being stuck in the house and some, business ventures and projects that people have being on pause. And I just feel like right now is a very vulnerable time for everyone. And that's where I feel like my book comes into play, because it's very simple. It's not something where it's a big, thick book and it's going to take you months to read, but it's a guide, and it's simple, and it's letting you know how to take small action now to get you to a better place, and also about how to look on the bright side of things. That's why I have the YouTube channel, because people can't come out and get any, influential speaking or, anything to keep them going or to let them know that everything's going to be okay. So that's why I have the YouTube channel for that as well. So it's just, right now I just feel like it's a time that people, really need it. It's not a time to stop, because that's what everyone thinks. Everyone, some people think that it's just a time to stop everything, and it's not. Mm-hmm. So that's what makes me want to get up and do what I do, because I feel like people really need it more than ever right now.
Yeah, real talk. I mean, I'm noticing that it's a lot more out of the box thinking, and I think that's the blessing that comes in the midst of the storm, is that a lot of people are really finding ways of, okay, this is where we at. This is what I do. How am I going to do what I do with these restrictions? So it really, for a lot of people, they've become really innovative and out of the box thinking, and then they found ways of getting their product, their service, or their message to the masses that they probably wouldn't have thought of if they had been able to do things the way they normally do. So that's pretty cool. So that's actually a real good segue. So let's get a little bit more intel onto what the book's about without giving too much away. I mean, just give us a little synopsis of what people would expect if they picked up the Glowup right now, and what they gonna get.
Well, it does give a little bit of my backstory at the beginning, and basically it gives you directions. It gives you instructions. It doesn't just, tell you something that needs to be done, but not how to do it. So there is actual steps that you need to take, and I have self-analysis questions and things like that you can go over with yourself. Also, how to set goals. I have a few chapters on that, on how to set goals and how to set, your end game and things like that. I also share different strategies that I use to come up with ideas, and how to basically, I have brainstorming sessions with myself, and I explain that and what that is, and basically how my thinking process, a little bit of how my thinking process is and how I come up with things. So it's a lot of questions that people ask me, because I've completely changed in such a short amount of time. So basically I'm answering those questions that they have on what did I do to change, and what were the steps that I took. And also some of those steps, I'm very honest, they're not easy. The part about, separating in order to elevate, things like that, they're not easy. So not only do I tell you what I did, but I also tell you that it's not easy, and I let you know, how it made me feel and how it could possibly make you feel. But at the end, it's very much worth it for the life that you really want to have.
Okay, so you got more. So you got self-motivation, self-help with a taste of your personal life. Is that about sum it up? Or?
Yes, it just gives you, in the introduction, it just gives you a little background about me, and about the mindset that I was in when I was in the club, because I danced for 9 years, so I was there, it was basically all that I knew. Wow. And so I kind of go into that, just letting people know a little bit about me and how drastic I did change, and how the things that I'm saying, they work, because I tried them, I did them, and I am completely in a different space from where I was a year ago.
Okay. All right. It's good stuff. Now I got we gonna take a few more minutes to go into some of your stuff. I always have my questions, but you brought up a lot of other things that I wanted to cover based on when we actually had our initial conversation. So I wanted to make sure that we did not end this without an opportunity for people to see what you are doing in the community. I know that you are a strong advocate for foster children, and forgive me if I'm using the wrong terminology, foster care, foster children. So just your activity in the community. Could you kind of elaborate on that a bit?
Yes, I am a part of a charitable organization that does a lot of community service. So I have fed the homeless. We've had different awareness events, like breast cancer awareness, HIV awareness. So we've had different brunches and different speeches and things like that for the community. Also, I have helped with foster children. We do like luggage giveaway, clothes giveaways, things like that. So I try to do as much in the community as I can, because I, grew up with nothing. So I know how it feels, especially being in foster care. Luggage is important because they didn't have, most of my clothes were in plastic black bags. So things like that are important. And just visiting them and, making Easter baskets and things like that. That's really important to someone that doesn't have that, doesn't have that every year, doesn't have that luxury. So I do try to reach out. Foster kids are very special to me because I was in foster care. But, feeding the homeless and reaching out to anyone in the community that needs help, I try to do it as much as I can.
Okay, so any particular links that you are strong advocate of, are part of in terms of your community activism, I want to make sure that I have that available to listeners. What we always do is make sure that with the audio and any video, that we actually have the appropriate social media links, so that anybody listening has opportunity to connect, support, affirm, and just give positive words, some positive energy your way, so they can see all of the great things you're doing. So as Uniqueka passes the information to me, I'll make sure that will also be attached to the podcast, so everyone will have opportunity to show your love and support as well. What's your biggest challenge, and how do you overcome it, or how are you working to overcome it?
My biggest challenge is not thinking too much about the past. Before, I know I was feeling like, a girl in foster care couldn't possibly, speak and be an author and things like that. So it's a lot of things with my past that I used to be angry about. And now how I change that is I try to look at the positive. Like me being in foster care, it made me very strong, very independent. I feel like I can go anywhere and survive. I have been a lot of places and went on my own, and I was, fine. So I used to, my biggest downfall was, my past was trying to defeat me. And how I persevere through that is I look at the positive side of everything. And I feel like if I would have been born with a silver spoon and never went through anything, I couldn't have this testimony and this story that I have to help people. So I do try to look at the positive things when it comes to my past. Try to look at the bright side.
Wow. Okay, what's your grand vision for your business, your career as an author? If you just allow yourself to dream, what's the big vision? What are you doing? What are you planning on doing with this?
Well, my vision is for me to be a very influential and historical speaker. I really want to speak to as many people as I can and influence them to reach the highest potential. My grand vision for myself and for my company is for me to be able to reach people everywhere around the world, and for me to be able to make a positive influence. The people that feel like they don't have anyone, those are the main people that I feel like I want to reach. And as far as me being an author, I do want to have more books that will be coming out. And as a real estate agent, I do want to be very dominant in the Northeast Florida section and surrounding areas in Florida as well. So I do. I want to be the best of my grand vision is for me to be the best of the best in any field. Not to try to compete, but that's just me. I just want to be the best in every field. I want to be the dominant one.
Tall order. You sound competitive. Is that the case?
No, I'm not competitive. It's just I want to be the best.
Okay.
You never should. I don't feel like I should ever strive to be number two. I look up to Beyonce, so I listen to a lot of things. And I just feel like you should always want to be the best. And I know one time JC said, some people are mad at him because he wants to be first, but you should always want to be the best. If somebody wants to be second, then that's fine. Like he said, that's fine. But me, I want to be the best.
Yeah, that's real. I have yet to have met anybody that comes out of, I want to be second.
I don't want to be second. No,
yeah, that doesn't even sound right. I want to be second.
I want to be at the top.
Yeah, nobody comes up to the NBA finals and wants to be second. Yeah, that's that's crazy. Okay, what do you bring? This is all about you. What do you bring to your craft, your organization? What it is that you do? What do you bring that sets you apart from everyone else? And this is not necessarily competition per se, but this is just saying, look, if you look at you and who you are, and somebody asked you, is somebody that wanted to pour into your business, your grand dream, they're going to ask you that. Okay, so what do you bring to the table that sets you apart from anyone, any author, any community activist, any individual that might be doing something similar to what you do?
Well, what I feel like I bring to my industry is authenticity and the willing to share the knowledge. I feel like a lot of times people, when they change, they don't really like to tell exactly, what they did, or they don't want to give you the steps. And a lot of people, they want to wait until they've gotten, way successful to tell you what they did. But me, I'm still a work in progress. I'm still working on things, and I am taking everyone on my journey with me. I just stopped dancing last year. I didn't stop dancing 10, 20 years ago. So as I am working on myself and bettering myself, I am pouring that into other people. I have a lot of mentors and things like that pour into me, and they give me knowledge. And as I grow and go on my journey, I'm able to share that with other people. So I think that's what sets me aside, is number one, because I, was in that industry for so long, and I changed so fast in a year. And I am going to, share my journey with everyone as I am still going. And I'm very transparent. And like I said, I'm very authentic when it comes to what I do and where I come from. It's important to me that I reach the people that I was just, in their shoes, the person that didn't have anywhere to stay because they have bad credit, or the person that was always having to go sleep at friend's house on their couch, or the girl that was just dancing in the dressing room and she didn't know, where she wanted to go in life. So I really aspire to help the people whose shoes that I was just in.
Okay, and I just something in my spirit gave me a real talk question. Do you think that being that transparent and that open about where you come from as opposed to where you are headed now, do you think that works more to your benefit, or does it kind of gravitate toward those folks that like to throw up your past?
No, I feel like it works towards my benefit. I would never be ashamed of who I was. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a part of being in this industry, being a speaker and being an author, is you have to tell the truth. You can't really tell somebody something. You can't tell somebody to forget their past and to move forward if you're hiding your past because you're ashamed of it. That means you're not, it's looking at your past in the face and moving forward. So I feel like me being transparent, everything that I do is I preach what I practice. So I actually do these things and I know that they work. So that's why I try to tell them to other people. If someone does, throw up my past, then, that's just expected. Everybody's not going to like you. My book is not going to be for everybody. My shows are not going to be for everybody. And I understand that. People will have their own opinions. The world is full of opinions and they're free. So, everyone has
yep.
one. I can't, stop what someone else says. And like I said, I try to look at the positive on things. So I try not to worry about if my past is going to hinder me from anything, because like I said, my message isn't going to be for everybody, but those who know, they know. Those who get it, they're going to get it. And I just really can't worry about who's going to bring up my past.
Yes,
because I'm going to bring it up. I bring it up all the time. So you know what I'm saying, you don't have to bring it up because I'm going to bring it up. And whatever negativity is attached to it, it's always a positive side, and that's what I'm showing right now.
That's fine. I like that. That was, you couldn't have gave me that more fire response than that. I appreciate that. So you're gonna get. I'm looking for an autographed copy, right?
Yes, you get
You asked. So technically, you my very first virtual green room guest. So that's historic. But at the same, and all I'm asking for is an autographed copy of the book.
Okay, you got it.
I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to test out this new forum for the Green Room and give the world an opportunity to learn about you and things that you're doing. I hope, I pray, and I'm going to bug you very strongly about this, that all of your social media that you want your audience to know about, that you make it available to me so that I can make it available with this. So when they hear this snippet into your story, they'll be able to go and check you out, buy a book, and get it autographed, and learn something to move them from point A to point B. But thank you very much, sister, for giving me an opportunity to peek into your world. And for those of you listening, thank you so much for peeking in as we chat in, for the very first time, the virtual version of the Green Room.